Weeks have passed since 4-year-old Gus Lamont vanished without a trace from his family's remote sheep station in South Australia. The official search teams may have packed up their vehicles, but the investigation hasn't gone quiet. If anything, it's entered a far more focused, far more deliberate phase. Behind closed doors, detectives and forensic experts are still working late nights, cross-checking every phone ping, message record, and movement log from the day Gus went missing. New data, new tests, and even renewed forensic attention on specific areas of the property have begun to reveal small but significant pieces of the puzzle. What's emerging isn't just about a boy who wandered off, it's about patterns, timelines, and subtle contradictions that have quietly shifted the direction of the case. Sources close to the investigation say the focus is tightening, and those who were once considered simply witnesses are now being re-examined through a different lens. Meanwhile, the community refuses to let this story fade. Across South Australia, people still talk about Gus. They share updates, revisit old search maps, and hold out hope that answers are still possible. Because this story doesn't just represent one missing child. It represents a truth that's still out there waiting to be found. That's why in today's video, we're breaking down 5 new developments you might have missed in the Gus Lamont investigation. From new forensic rechecks to emerging digital evidence and renewed interest from top investigative voices. Stay until the end, because every single update adds a new layer to what could become one of the most revealing chapters in this case yet. And if you believe stories like this matter, if you believe that every missing child deserves to be found and that silence should never win, this is exactly where you need to be. Here we don't chase headlines. We chase the truth, one piece at a time. In recent weeks, investigators quietly returned to the Lamont property, not with hundreds of volunteers or search dogs this time, but with a small, highly specialized forensic team. Their mission wasn't to retrace old ground, but to reanalyze it. Police sources confirmed that new forensic tools were deployed to reassess soil samples, water tanks, and the dam that had been drained earlier in the search. The goal was clear: to detect even the smallest inconsistencies, shifts in ground composition, trace fibers, or microscopic residues that could point toward human activity overlooked in the chaos of the first few days. Advanced ground-penetrating radar was reportedly used to scan beneath shallow soil layers near the homestead and sheds. These scanners can detect subtle changes, compressed ground, hidden cavities, or recently disturbed areas invisible to the naked eye. The data collected from these scans is now under review by forensic geologists who specialize in identifying signs of tampering or burial activity in rural terrain. Investigators also returned to key, high-interest zones identified during earlier operations, including a dry creek bed, the edges of a fence line, and an equipment shed that sits roughly 400 meters from where Gus was last seen. Each area is now being treated as a potential microscene within a larger landscape of evidence. This isn't a restart of the search. It's a refinement. Detectives aren't asking where Gus disappeared anymore. They're asking how. Every new soil reading, every water test, every unexplainable mark on the land could bring them one step closer to understanding what truly happened that evening. These renewed forensic efforts suggest one thing clearly. Investigators believe the answer may still be hidden on that land. Not somewhere far away, not in rumor or speculation, but in the very ground itself. And as these results are analyzed, the question becomes, will the science confirm what the human eye missed? Behind the scenes, one of the most significant updates in the investigation hasn't come from the field. It's come from the data. South Australia Police recently began what insiders describe as a digital reconstruction of the timeline surrounding Gus's disappearance. This involves the painstaking process of cross-matching phone data, message logs, app activity, and even GPS pings collected from anyone connected to the Oak Park property during that critical 48-hour window. Each phone signal is like a digital breadcrumb, a timestamp, a location, a clue. Forensic analysts are mapping those signals minute by minute, building a picture of who was moving where and when. In some cases, deleted texts or calls made briefly before or after the disappearance are being retrieved and compared. Sources close to the review say the data analysis isn't limited to family devices. It extends to visitors, contractors, and anyone with a reason to be near the property. Every phone that went silent unexpectedly, every call that dropped, every app that showed sudden inactivity is being investigated. This process, called metadata correlation, can reveal patterns that words alone cannot. It can show who was stationary when others were moving, or who appeared online just after emergency calls were made. Digital forensics doesn't rely on memory. It doesn't forget or misremember. It records, second by second, and in cases like this, those records can break open an entire narrative. Investigators are confident that the truth, or at least part of it, is hidden within this invisible web of data. If there was any coordination, any conversation, or any cover-up, the evidence may already exist in the cloud, waiting for the right eyes to interpret it. So while the Outback remains silent, the data doesn't. And if those signals begin to align, the truth might not be a matter of if, but when. If you believe this investigation deserves answers, don't forget to subscribe and stay with us. Every update matters, and we're following every verified source and lead as this case unfolds. Even as official search operations have slowed, the community around Uinta hasn't stopped looking. For many locals, the disappearance of Gus Lamont isn't just another story. It's personal. This is their land, their outback, their home. And the idea that a child could simply vanish into the dust without a trace has become something they can't accept. In recent days, small volunteer groups have begun organizing informal patrols. Farmers are using their own utes to comb through back routes and water holes. Some are checking abandoned wells and forgotten paddocks, places too rough or remote for official search crews to cover thoroughly. They document everything, take photos, mark coordinates, and share updates through community pages and message groups. Local businesses have stepped in too. Petrol stations are putting up posters, cafes have donation jars near the counter, and truck drivers passing through are spreading awareness along the highway. Even those who never met the Lamont family have joined the effort. In a region built on endurance, this search has become a symbol of unity, proof that even in isolation, compassion runs deep. But beyond hope, there's frustration. Some locals believe that vital clues might have been missed early in the search. They question whether all nearby properties were checked thoroughly, or if early assumptions about Gus wandering off may have slowed down other possible lines of inquiry. That frustration, however, hasn't turned to anger. It's turned to drive. Every weekend, a handful of locals still head out at sunrise to recheck the land. They're not doing it for recognition. They're doing it because they believe answers still lie somewhere out there, in the ridges, the gullies, or the quiet corners no one has seen since that September afternoon. The spirit of this small town has become the heart of this case. The police may have scaled down operations, but the people have not. Their message is clear. They will not let Gus be forgotten. If you stand with them, if you believe community persistence can keep this case alive, make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned. Every small voice adds strength to this story, and together, awareness becomes action. In the last week, investigators have quietly begun re-examining parts of the case that were once considered closed. While the initial search focused heavily on the idea that Gus may have wandered off, new internal reviews suggest that detectives are revisiting timelines, witness accounts, and physical evidence with fresh eyes. According to sources close to the case, this re-examination isn't about finding fault. It's about making sure no detail, however small, has been missed. In complex disappearances like this, assumptions made early on can shape an entire investigation, and sometimes, those assumptions need to be challenged. One major focus reportedly involves verifying the exact timeline of events on the afternoon Gus went missing. Detectives are cross-checking statements with call records, GPS data, and digital timestamps to confirm when key moments happened, like when he was last seen, when the alarm was raised, and who was where in that critical hour. Another key area under review involves environmental and forensic evidence gathered from the property itself. Samples, photos, and aerial scans taken in the early days are being digitally enhanced and compared using newer software to detect patterns or anomalies that may not have been visible before. Even the dam, previously drained and searched, is being reanalyzed to confirm that nothing was overlooked. The review also extends to how information was communicated. Some experts have raised concerns that early media attention and public speculation might have influenced witness recall or distracted from specific leads. This new phase aims to cut through that noise and focus strictly on verified, objective facts. Behind the scenes, officers involved say this re-examination has renewed the energy of the entire task force. It's not about restarting the investigation, it's about sharpening it. As one detective reportedly said, you don't stop until every question has an answer, or every possibility is ruled out. For the Lamont family, this renewed focus brings a fragile kind of hope, that maybe somewhere within the existing evidence lies the clue that was missed. And for the public following this story, though, it's a reminder that persistence is often what turns uncertainty into truth. If you believe that no case should ever be left unfinished, make sure you're subscribed, because the next update could be the one that changes everything. As weeks turn into months, patterns start to emerge that investigators say can't be ignored. While the initial public narrative leaned heavily on the idea that Gus wandered off, subtle discrepancies in witness accounts, timelines, and digital records have prompted detectives to consider a different possibility, that this may not have been a simple accident. Sources close to the investigation reveal that officers are looking more closely at the micro moments on the day Gus disappeared. Every movement, every phone ping, every unexplained absence is being mapped against the boy's last known location. Forensic analysts and behavioral specialists are now working side by side, connecting physical evidence from the property with digital footprints that were overlooked during the early search. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about understanding human behavior. Detectives are considering whether someone could have been in proximity to Gus without drawing attention, someone whose familiarity with the property allowed them to blend into the background, unnoticed. Jubilin, a former high-profile investigator, has emphasized this pattern in other cases. People often miss what they expect to see, and someone who knows the terrain can act in plain sight. Investigators are also scrutinizing inconsistencies in timelines, small gaps. A 5-minute window where calls went unanswered, or a person whose whereabouts can't be fully verified, are being re-examined. Alone, these gaps might seem inconsequential. Together, they create a pattern that cannot be dismissed. Meanwhile, forensic results from the renewed property scans have offered faint but intriguing hints. Minor soil disturbances near the homestead, subtle traces of fibers that weren't there during the first sweep, and slight anomalies in areas around the creek bed and dam. Each of these findings is minor on its own, but when combined with digital data and witness observations, they form the outline of a theory investigators are treating seriously, that Gus's disappearance may have involved deliberate movement rather than wandering off. Even as this theory takes shape, police are careful not to make public accusations. Their focus remains methodical and evidence-driven. What's important now isn't speculation, but gathering enough corroborating evidence to understand what truly happened. Every re-interview, every cross-checked call record, every subtle forensic clue is part of the bigger picture. For the community, this emerging theory has reignited urgency. Parents, volunteers, and neighbors are increasingly aware that the disappearance may not have been random. Their continued searches, their questions, and their vigilance are now intertwined with an investigation that is moving beyond the land itself, toward understanding the decisions, osmonds, and actions of those around Gus during that critical afternoon. The emerging theory doesn't answer every question, it doesn't solve the case, but it does shift the investigation from what happened by chance to what may have been orchestrated, intentionally or accidentally. And for investigators, that distinction is everything. This is the phase of the case where small details matter most. A single overlooked trace, a gap in the digital record, or an unaccounted for movement could hold the key to uncovering the truth. And until those pieces fall into place, Gus Lamont's story remains unfinished. But the pursuit of answers is far from over. The story of Gus Lamont isn't just about one missing child in the vast expanse of South Australia's outback. It's about unanswered questions, unseen patterns, and the painstaking work happening quietly behind the headlines. Every soil sample, every phone ping, and every re-interview brings investigators one step closer to uncovering the truth. But the case isn't just in the hands of law enforcement. It lives in the persistence of the community, the scrutiny of those who follow closely, and in the voices of those who refuse to let silence win. As we've seen through these 5 developments, from advanced forensic re-examinations to emerging theories, the investigation is evolving. The focus has shifted from what the land shows to what the evidence and data reveal and how human actions might fit into the puzzle. And while the truth may still be buried somewhere in Oak Park Station, one thing is clear: giving up is not an option. For Gus, for his family, and for every person following this story, the work continues. If you believe in the importance of truth, and if you believe no child should disappear without answers, this is where you make a difference. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss updates. Share this video to keep the spotlight on the investigation. Comment below with what you think might be uncovered next, because every voice matters, and awareness keeps the search alive. Gus Lamont's story isn't finished, and neither is our pursuit of the truth. Stay with us, stay alert, and together we can help ensure that one day the answers everyone has been waiting for finally emerge.